Okay, back with my main man Stuckey, who is, I wouldn't say scorching hot, but he's 17-12 on the season. He's making money. Had a good week last week. I tried to convince him I like the Lions against the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure you like the Dolphins. And, you never bet on Dan Campbell. You can find him on the Action Network podcast on Thursday, as well as Big Bets on Campus. Go subscribe to that bad boy. I know his Wildcats got their ass kicked by Tennessee. Stuckey, what's up, bro?
What's going on? No, actually, I had the Lions with you. It was an interesting NFL week. There was a lot of bets that came down to random.
Oh, you did. I had the Lions money line. You had the points. I went money line parlay. That's where you get hit in the teeth.
Yeah. Hopefully, some people got 4. I had some 3.5, which was terrible. They led the whole game. But Lions had a chance at late driving, didn't convert a 4th down. Cardinals had a chance late, driving, didn't convert a 4th down. The Packers then drive and get in the back door. So it was one of those weeks, but we're on to this week. And the Patriots were pretty easy. Zach Wilson is just a disaster.
Oh, my God. I actually think the Packer game is a good example of when you get that many points with a just credible operation, right? I know they're having a rough year, but they got Aaron fucking Rodgers. That is a lot of points. Because you're watching the first half, you're like, they're going to lose by 50. Well, this isn't college. That's usually not how this thing works. And
that's what I said. That's what I was like. That's why. Yeah, it sounds cliche to say I have a Hall of Fame quarterback catching 11, but if I'm down 14-17 late with the ball, it could be in worse situations than to have a Hall of Fame quarterback on your side, and they went 95 yards to get in the back door. Fortunately,
this is the biggest spread of his career, right? As an underdog.
Yeah,
Rodgers since he was
first time he was ever a double-digit underdog. He's now 4-0 against the spread as an underdog over 6 points. All 4 were on Halloween weekend, for what it's worth. Big
picture, because I've heard it a lot, and I'm sure you have too, and I know you dig into the numbers. Moving forward, when they play good teams, they're not do you think they're going to get respect moving forward, or are they going to be a team that you might be able to get some value on? The 49ers last year were 3-5, and they kind of figured out some stuff. I know it's a little different. Their passing game sucks, and they're depending on these receivers, and a couple of them are hurt. Or do you think just stay away from the Packers?
I think that they'll have some value, especially as an underdog. I do think that the market has gone a little bit too far the other way on them, because I do believe that the rookie receivers will get better, and they'll get their timing down with Rodgers, but their offense is actually better than people assume. So they have no explosiveness, right? There's nothing vertical, but they're 6th in success rate. They're actually moving the ball. They're worst. They have the worst 4th down percentage in the NFL. They're 18%. Their 3rd down percentage is really low. They were 0 for 2 on 4th down against the Bills, at the Bills 40-yard line. So their drives are just getting killed, and 4th downs are highly variant. There's a lot of variance there. So, and it's tough. They're going to have to drive down the field, but I think their offense will get a little bit better. The thing with them is that once they get a lead, so once their drives start turning into points, then their defense is good, because their defense, which played well last week against Josh Allen, picked him off twice, can defend the pass. So it's built to play with a lead, but if they're playing from behind, they can't stop the run, and then the team has a lead and is running it, and then they pile on. So yeah, I think especially as an underdog, you don't really want to lay points, a big number with this team because their offense is so limited.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Packers might have some value here coming up.
Before we dive into the 3 games, we talked last week at the end about the Niners. Are you buying now their ability to make some hay here in the NFC?
Yeah, I've said it all along. I was so impressed last week, and it's without Debo, without Juszczyk, and then the defense isn't fully healthy yet. And I think once the defense is fully healthy, I would argue now the Broncos are just going to wear down eventually, but the Broncos are fully healthy are up there. You go back to that Broncos-49ers game, it was 11-10. But 49ers are one of the 3 best defenses in the NFL and can argue the best. And then, with that offense now, once they get all the parts fully healthy, their tackles are back, Debo with McCaffrey there. I think that they are it's them or the Eagles, and I would love to see those two teams play. The Eagles are just going to cruise, and maybe it's going to be like a shock to the system where they have to play a good team. And if you jump out on the Eagles, like make them play from behind. I don't know when the next time they're going to play from behind because their schedule's a joke. But yeah, it's 49ers or Eagles, maybe Cowboys next rung, and that's the NFC because it's very weak.
Do you think Minnesota is basically a locked 2 seed? Because that to me, like, if the Niners end up 10-7 again, or let's say 11-6, assuming Seattle comes back to, like, they should win the division, but that's probably more than likely just because the Vikings, you just kind of have a little cushion with only one loss. Division kind of stinks. I mean, it feels like they're just kind of cruising for that 2 seed, assuming that the Eagles go like 15-2.
Yeah, they'll probably be. Yeah, I would assume they're 2, but it doesn't really matter. It's like the 1, and that's ultimately.
It's basically the Niners would play the Vikings, assuming they both win that first round. They'd have to go on the road, which
the 49ers don't mind doing.
They did last year.
Yeah, so I think that it's the Niners and Eagles in the NFC. Clear 1-2 hierarchy, and it's very top heavy, the NFC.
Okay, let's dive into this week, which is, feels like a pretty crappy slate. But this game, I mean, I'm sorry, I get paid to watch and talk about football. You can't. The Colts, I just can't consume them. Like that is a terrible fucking product. Now the Patriots, as you saw last week, they just are going to struggle to score. They're going to have to win. I mean, they're going to win their games in the teens and keep you hopefully around single digits to low teens. Like that's just they're going to win 17-13, right? 17-10, like 14-9. Like that's going to be their 5.5 for them. But like Sam Ellinger against Belichick, that this game would make me a little. I just couldn't bet on the Colts. How about you?
Yeah, I took the Colts here and. It's kind of ugly, but the scoring is so down in the NFL this year that it's difficult to build margin, especially with an offense that's limited as the Patriots have. And you look this year, dogs of over a field goal in 2022 are 47-26 against the spread, 64.4%. Obviously, lower scoring, closer games, harder to build a margin, and I thought Ellinger looked good last week. I mean, he was 11 of 13, 150 yards in the second half, including a 20-yard drop by Pittman that he put right on the money that could have won them the game late. And, when I look at the matchup of these two teams, the one good thing about the Colts this year has been their run defense. It's top 5 run D. They also, have Shaq Leonard back now. Kwity Paye should come back. That's their strength, is their run defense. And that's what the Patriots do. Well, they run it. Mac Jones is struggling this year. You saw last week he had a pick 6 that could have changed that game around, but there was a roughing the passer on an awful throw. I mean, he's 25th in EPA per play. So, yeah, I just think that the Colts' run defense can battle here. The Colts, if Jonathan Taylor is 100%, he's dealing with an ankle injury, he can have some success on the ground against the Patriots' run D that's struggling. And I just think it'll be a low-scoring game. Total's 38.5. So you're going to give me 5.5 here. Mac Jones also has struggled against zone. The Colts run a lot of. So I like the matchup. I like getting 5.5 in a game that should be really low scoring. So, yeah, I'll take the points here.
Rams at Tampa. Eventually Brady's just kind of draw a line in the sand or just quit. I just think the Rams aren't that good. I mean, they're fatally flawed. They have no running backs. Cooper Kupp, I know they're trying to downplay it, but I mean, he limped off the field. It did not look good. And if you've watched the Rams, they're basically like an NBA team, and he's one of their stars. And without him, they can't function. So if he is 80%, they would be in major, major trouble. I guess I would take maybe just short the Rams. I mean, are we looking at the Lions end up drafting number 1 overall and they get like the 7th pick because the Rams end up at 6-11? I think the Rams are closer to 6-11 this year than they are a 10-win team. I mean, they have major, major issues. So I would just short the Rams for as bad as and weird as Tampa has been.
Yeah, I agree. This is partly a play on Tampa. They're they're getting healthier, right? So early in the year, they had all their receivers were out. Last couple weeks, they've had a bunch of defenders out. They're coming off a mini bye here.
Yeah.
Another home game. Rams are traveling across the country. And look, I think that the Bucs right now have a better offense. Let's look at adjusted EPA per play, adjust for opponent. Bucs offense is 20th in the NFL this year. The Rams 32nd, dead last. How about the quarterbacks, adjusted EPA per play? Brady 13th, Stafford 26th. And then on the defense, Rams 16th, Bucs 8th. Special teams, Bucs been better. So I had the better offense, the better defense, the better special teams, the better quarterback, in a good situation at home with extended rest. And their best player, Rams' best player, might be banged up. And, I don't think either team's going to have success running the ball. So
what about Tampa's division, too? I mean, they are pretty much alive, as crappy as everything's gone, right? I mean,
it's crazy. And when you also look at what Brady has done this year, he's dealt with the offensive line is not as good. The receivers have been hurt. And when he's under pressure, he's just getting rid of the ball. Like, he doesn't trust the offensive line. He's getting rid of the ball so quick. That's when he's not looked right. When he has a clean pocket, still has elite numbers. Actually leads the league in big-time throws with a clean pocket, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Believe it or not, the Rams have the second lowest pressure rate in the NFL. 12%. I mean, this is lose Von Miller, and it's, hey, let's just block Aaron Donald with 3 guys, and they're not getting any pressure. Second lowest. It's them and the Falcons are down at 11, 12%. So Brady should have a clean pocket here. Receivers are a lot healthier off extended rest. And, you look at what Stafford is doing. I mean, Stafford has a negative EPA per play. So every time he drops back this year, on average, is costing his team points. Here are the quarterbacks with negative EPA per play, besides Stafford. Winston, benched. Ryan, benched. Trubisky, benched. Zach Wilson should be benched. Wentz, benched. Flacco, benched. Mayfield, benched. Davis, Mills. And Kenny Pickett, who should probably be sitting on benches right now. That's it. And his average depth of target is 5.9 yards. That's the lowest in the NFL. Last year it was 8.5. 3 years ago, he led the NFL at 10.8. This offense is broken. The defense is not getting any pressure and has been bad. So, yeah, I'll take 2 desperate teams here. I'll take the Bucs to get revenge at home in a good spot. And if Kupp is banged up at all, or he can't go, or it's trouble time for the Rams.
Okay, let's another NFC West battleground here. Somehow Seattle's in first place, which they're definitely a lot better than we all envisioned. But at the end of the day, are they going to end up an 8-9 team more closely than a 10-7 team? I would probably bet on that. You had the stat last week. You could correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 27 points they average with Hopkins and 17 without him? Or is it 18? Mm-hmm. It's a huge difference. And you feel it when you watch them play. I mean, that fucking guy is just – you just throw the ball up and he makes the catch. He is a monster. Kyler's comfortable with him. I hate everything about him, but not Hopkins, but just the operation, the Arizona Cardinals. They are a much scarier version, even if they are, a non-playoff team. They are better than the majority of non-playoff teams, right? Just when their quarterback, especially at home in a dome. Now, does he care? Are they over the season? Who knows? Seattle obviously has a lot to play for. I mean, you win this game, all of a sudden you're 6-4, and you're kind of with the Niners being off. And if the Rams lose, you just beat the Cardinals again. You'd be in pretty good shape. So, I mean, the Seattle has a lot on the line in this game, but I do just wonder if Arizona, they just score a lot of points right now. So I would struggle putting money on Cliff and Kyler, but they feel like the play here.
Yeah, I played the Cardinals here. I hate it. But last week I played them +4. I'd play it again. It was a dead even game. The Cardinals lose on a muff punt. Basically, at the end of the game, they were getting the ball back down 2, muff a punt. Vikings score a touchdown, a 20-yard drive, and then the Cardinals go down the field and turn it over on downs inside Minnesota territory. Game ends a touchdown in a completely statistically even game.
They start so slow.
Yeah,
the Cardinals.
It's horrendous. I don't know what they do. It's the coaching staff, but it's really bad. But I have to bet the Cardinals here, as much as I hate it. My overall general philosophy, I think if I boil down how I've always bet NFL, is it's sort of, and I have a background in finance, it's sort of like the market, and I'm trying to buy low, buy the bottom of the market on a team and sell the top or the sell high when a team reaches what I consider its peak. And I think that's it for Seattle right now. These two teams just played a couple weeks ago. Arizona was a 2.5-point favorite at Seattle. One of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Also, DeAndre Hopkins did not play in that game. So, yes, we've upgraded the Seahawks for that win. Ugly game. The game was 12-9 in the fourth quarter. Both teams averaged about 4.5 yards per play. Now, I can get Arizona -2 at home with Hopkins back. I have to take it. Look, before the season started, people were saying Seattle was the worst team in the league by far. It's them and the Falcons, right? And now, and then the Texans. Now people are saying, is Geno Smith MVP? Are the Seahawks a potential threat to win the NFC? Reading all these articles, hearing all these things about Seattle. Everyone wants to back Seattle. By the way, this is the biggest public bet of the week for me. I don't really care about those splits, but it tells me that the line isn't wrong. Everyone still wants to bet Seattle. So I think this is the top of the market. And now we've done a complete 180 on Seattle. They're obviously way better than anticipated. And Geno Smith, is he Rich Gannon, like a guy that was a perennial backup, now rejuvenates his career, or is it just like a flash in the pan? It gets, like a Nick Foles.
People are acting like they're the Bills or the Chiefs on the Pacific Northwest.
It's crazy. And then let's look at who they beat. They beat the Broncos and Russell Wilson, who have been a disaster, and they should have lost that game. The Broncos were inside the 10, 15 times. They beat the Lions by 48-45. Lions are down St. Brown and Swift. They beat the Cardinals, we just talked about without Hopkins. They beat the Chargers, missing 10 starters. And then they just beat the Giants, so I don't think anyone thinks is really good. And that's their wins this year. The Broncos, undermanned Lions, Cardinals without Hopkins, Chargers missing 10 starters, and the Giants. And now everyone is saying, and they got drilled by the 49ers. Everyone has forgot about that. So, yeah, I think the love has just gone too far in Seattle. It's not a great team by any stretch. They're not bottom of the barrel. So I'm going to try and sell high here. And hopefully Cliff has his boys ready. They're not down 17-0 3 minutes into the game.
Any takes on the two big SEC games, Georgia, Tennessee, and Bama, LSU?
Yeah,
is there value in Louisiana State University?
Yeah, I'm waiting on 14. I think if you can get 14, there's some holes on this Alabama team. Their offensive line isn't as strong as it has been. LSU has a really good defensive line. Their receivers just haven't panned out. Bryce Young is incredible, and some of the plays that he makes,
it's awesome.
And extending plays, but they just lack explosiveness at times at the receiver position compared to, the bar is very high compared to years past. And then their secondary has some holes. We've seen at times them get exposed there, and LSU's kind of trending up with their passing offense. I would like 14 in that game. But I do think Tennessee has a lot of value. And this is going to be a big public play. You're hearing everyone is on Tennessee. This is the same thing against Alabama. I think this line is too high. This Tennessee offense is real. It is spectacular. And I don't know if this Georgia defense is ready for it. This Georgia defense lost a lot of pros. They also have a couple injuries now. They got the beat up on Oregon in the opener. Transfer quarterback, new system. Opening game. Since then, they've played no offenses. This Tennessee offense now, when you add Cedric Tillman, is one of the best receivers in the country, best big game receivers. Last year against this Georgia defense, which was elite, historic, he had 10 catches for 200 yards. Also had 8 catches for 160 against Alabama. They're adding him. He's now full go. Adding him, he's a first-round draft pick. They're adding him back to the offense. he got a couple snaps in, and he's going to start and play the whole game this week. So, yeah, everyone loves it. I love it too. I think there's too many points for Tennessee at Georgia. It should be a hell of a game. And for what it's worth, over the past 50 years, there's only been 10 matchups of 1 versus 2 where the spread is over a touchdown. Underdog, 8-2 against the spread, won 6 of the 10 as a underdog of 7+. Small sample size, but interesting tidbit, and should be a really exciting game because Georgia's certainly going to put up its points as well.
I might go with the little Tennessee LSU when the points parlay, kind of like that. Jaden Daniels makes me a little nervous again, but it is in Baton Rouge at night, so.
Yeah, he's playing a lot. He's playing a lot better. The competition hasn't been great, so that's the question. My nightmares, I have a 14-1 ticket on Tennessee to win the division. And if they win this game, they're going to win the division. If they lose this game, there's a chance that they could win the national title and lose their division. And I will be pulling my hair out if that happens.
So you got a lot riding on this weekend.
Yeah,
I like it.
Rocky Top.
This is what it all comes down to, baby. You got to beat Bama. Now you get Georgia. Let's roll. Well,
Stuckey, let's do it.
Enjoy it. Hopefully you have a few Tito's and Red Bulls while you're watching that bad boy, and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, Breeders' Cup weekend in Lexington. It'll be fun.
Oh.
Good luck to you as well. Rocky Top.
Rocky Top, baby. Later.